Howdy there, folks. This is Andy Griffiths of GameZines.com. I hope you are well. Today we're going to have a look at next car game from Bugbear. Now, Bugbear are an interesting developer. They are Finnish. They worked on Flatout 1, 2, and Ultimate Carnage, not the most recent Flatout, Flatout 3. That was by Strategyverse, a terrible publisher from Russia, who usually fund not very good games. Anyway, they made the easiest way to kind of remember what they done is they made the good Flatout games, not the terrible ones. Or the terrible one, I should say. Anyway, the point is, next car game. This is an alpha build. It's early access. Bugbear updated the build quite recently, last week, if you're hearing this on the day it's published. And essentially, it is the kind of game Bugbear have wanted to make for ages, but no developer would actually go with them. Their most recent game they released was... Ooh, let's see what we got. Let's do Figure of Eight, because that's a new track. Excuse the friend alerts on the side. Their most recent game was... what is it called? Ridge Racer Unbounded, which was kind of an odd trip for the Ridge Racer series, because the Ridge Racer series is all about pretty cars and drifting, and Ridge Racer Unbounded was all about crashing through buildings and crashing against other racers to kind of own a city. This game is nothing like that. This game is as traditional a kind of a banger racer you can get. Now, I know the term banger racer is quite UK specific, so instead I'll use the term Destruction Derby Racer, I suppose? Or Demolition Derby Racer, yeah. Because Destruction Derby was the game from Psygnosis way back when. But anyway, this game is nuts. if you weren't aware. Oh my god. You know, the Figure of Eight track was the one that was added in the most recent build, and it kind of just accentuates how impressive this damage model is. It's worth noting as well, the frame rate is not quite as good as we would expect, but it is, you know, it's a game still very much in development. It's early access, so things are changing. That's why the content for this game isn't entirely... Oh, they've added fire effects for the demolitioned cars as well, all the cars that are destructible beyond any kind of function or repair. So, full disclosure, I played this way back in January, quite early January, because it was only last month, where essentially Bugbear let anyone who funded their game via their official website to basically they allowed... Oh, that was quite quick. Basically, they allowed anyone who funded the game by the official website to essentially play an early build. But this is a lot earlier. You know, this is still very early in development, but people do have more to play with now, which is good. You've got this track, you've got a Demolition Derby track, you've got a gravel track, and I think you've got a dirt track, like a traditional circuit track. The only other Demolition Derby track is like a bowl, and it's what you would expect, you know, it's okay. Oh my god. But the interesting thing about this is that this is the first time Bugbear have released a game on the Early Access program, which for Steam is still very young. But the interesting journey about this game is that it started off... Bugbear started funding it via their official website. And then from there, they didn't get too much traction. They made enough money, but not a hell of a lot. They never disclosed how much money they actually made from that. But the telltale sign that it wasn't as successful as they expected was that way back when the funding drive launched, which was around about November time, they had essentially a countdown or a counter for all those that invested in the game. And it would rack up as more money was invested. And as it racked up, the eventual goal was once it hit a certain mark, this early access build would unlock. And it never unlocked because they didn't essentially attract enough cash. that wasn't embarrassing for them because they had other plans. They took the game to Kickstarter, but on Kickstarter it didn't really go so well. Bugbear had to cancel the Kickstarter drive because it was clear that it wasn't going to make its target, and again, that would be quite embarrassing for a project. And obviously they were kind of caught in well, not in two minds, but they were definitely caught in a difficult spot where they had thousands of people invest in this game that was going to happen, but then at the same time they had a Kickstarter drive that wasn't functional, and they also had another problem, which was there just wasn't the interest, or at least the interest they suspected, which was really sad. Thankfully, though, that all changed when they added the game to Steam's Early Access program. Now, Steam's Early Access program is basically a method to give developers the funds for an unfinished game. Sorry, buddy! For an unfinished game. And essentially, players buy into that. They get to affect the game's development. And from there, kind of change its destiny almost by offering their feedback. But they also get to get an impression of how games are developed, and you know that's a valuable thing for any gamer, really. But the only problem with that program is that games development is kind of an unpredictable business by its very nature, and when you get problems like funding issues, projects can just stop being developed, and that's a bit fair when you've paid £20 to be part of a project, to just be told, oh yeah, we've run out of money, we're gonna have to stop. Now that's definitely not going to be the case with Bugbear, because they have already gone on record and saying they made $1 million within the first couple of weeks of Bugbear this game hitting early access. But by the same token, I think for most developers it's quite a dangerous proposition. That said, Bugbear have been adding lots of stuff to this game. As I said, the early access program only really became available... Let's do tarmac. Yeah. Only became available last month, which was January, early January. And since then, they've updated it multiple times. They've added new tracks. They've added new cars. I mean, that said, there's still only 2 proper tracks. Well, 3, I guess, if you include Figure of 8 and Destruction Derby Bowl. But they are adding to it. They are clearly working on it. Like, they've added various things, like even these menus for, or not menus, these shots for loading. Like, they've added those, so they definitely are working on the game. At the same time, they've also released 2 separate demos for their destructibility tech, which is already very impressive in the game. But when you... Oh, wow, look at this in combat view. But when you load up their tool set, essentially it's something that they use to test physics, and it's a really cool toolbox to just fool around with the cars and fling steel balls at them and throw them through like tons of just really horrible things, like torture devices effectively for cars, which is quite a novel concept. I quite like that. But the problem kind of with that in general, and I'll show it in another video, is that not all developers do that, so it does kind of raise the bar for early access a little bit. But that's a good thing, because early access, people who buy into early access projects should be rewarded, and they should be rewarded in a way that's good, not in a way that's just like, here's the early game, hope you suffer through it. You know, I know it'd be easier for you if you didn't suffer through it and you just bought it when it was done, but we need the money, so... And at the same token, like, it's easy for developers to kind of say to both gamers and any sort of critical or critics that, well, you know, it's a beta or it's an alpha. Don't worry, all those issues you talk about, we'll totally solve them, it's fine. Of course, back in the day, this was all sold by, like, having demos. Now, demos of a concept still exist. They're still more of a console thing now, necessarily, than they are a PC thing. But back in the day, you would just have demos, and demos were great. You know, they were a great means of testing how a game would run on your whatever, on your PC or any sort of hardware you had. And secondly, you know, they were usually a representative portion, or at least an entertaining portion, of a game that you were willing to buy. Now that those don't exist, it's kind of a bit sad, because you don't have a means to do that. I think one would argue that, or at least I know some people have made the argument that that's why PC piracy is rising and console piracy is rising overall as well, because when people don't have the means to try out a game, and because money is so tight nowadays with the recession and all that jazz, you know, they're not really willing to throw a 40 quid down and hope that the game that they buy is good. I mean, that's where reviews come in as well. But I don't know, I kind of miss the demo days. And essentially early access is kind of a demo, really. But it's just a demo you have to pay for. So, yeah. But back to next car game. Next car game, you know, it definitely feels like a flat-out game. Like, the handling is really heavy and really oversteery when you touch the handbrake, unlike I am. But that guy is, and he's doing okay. And there's no multiplayer in the game at the moment, but obviously that will be coming. There's no career mode, obviously that will be coming. Oh my god, this handbrake is nuts! That was the first time I tried the handbrake, and in this car it's pretty powerful. But you've still got... you came out of nowhere! Sorry! Oh. But the AI has also been spruced up a lot in this update. There's no replay camera yet, which is a shame, but I'm sure they're going to add that. The really interesting thing that you'll notice about the AI in this game is that they are quite aggressive, but I think that Bugbear in the recent patch has kind of toned that down just a tiny bit. They don't seem to be anywhere near as aggressive, and they don't have... There was a problem in the previous build where they used to like snake around a lot, not necessarily in the derby events, but in race events. Like, you'd be able to put them into kind of like a tank slapper that they wouldn't be able to go out of. That's when the rear of the car slips in and out of alignment as the driver tries to wrestle it back straight. And they would just get stuck into these like weird snaking movements on straights for hundreds of feet, which was quite funny. But we'll slip into the gravel track now and we'll see what that's all about. Oh my god. This is definitely the game of choice for crash lovers, I think. Oh. And it reminds me of playing Flat Out 2 back in the day and just loving every single second of it. Who knows, I might even go back to that for a stream one day, but this is a worthy alternative and it does look beautiful. There are some silly parts of the destruction system which I'll show you in the derby event, but it's an interesting game, no doubt. And games like this, arcadey, destruction-based races, they don't tend to get made so much anymore. Like with Criterion software not disappearing, but not resembling the form that we once knew, or at least the form that put out Burnout Paradise. And I think we'll see them anymore. I think Bugbear are kind of the last bastions of that sort of game. There is a new Carmageddon coming, so that's definitely worth shouting about thanks to a successful Kickstarter. But other than that, I mean, this is the destruction game of choice, I think. Oh, I could have taken that corner better. Hey, buddy! Woohoo! The collision detection needs to be changed on the bumper cam. But there is no boost meter, which I'm a bit surprised about, because that was what Flat Out... No, that was a big component of Flat Out, where essentially when you would ram another car or take out a bit of scenery, you'd earn a ton of boost, like essentially nitrous, which you could use to power on through the opposition, but that's not present in this one, which is interesting. Maybe they'll add that in a patch, I don't know. I mean, it is still alpha, so who knows. Oh, I lost a podium on the final straight. Oh, that's rubbish. Okay, let's go back to Garage. We'll do one Destruction of Derby event, and then that'll be it. This is going to be a short video, guys, mainly because I just wanted to show you the content that you would get in that initial early access run that Next Car Game is experiencing. You know, 3 cars is not a lot. The amount of circuits is not a lot, but you know, all these things will change as Bugbear add more things to the game. Okay, last man standing. So effectively, like any other Destruction Derby, it's not necessarily about racking up points or anything like that. It's all about almost staying out of trouble until the last racers kind of have died. But not actually died, but you know, suffered immeasurably. So much so that they can no longer operate as cars. Right, oh, that's not good. See the wall destruction there? That's pretty impressive. I totally did that on purpose. Not really. Oh man, that guy came out of nowhere. Let's get that guy. So I've only ever been to one real life Demolition Derby event, and they had a completely sensible rule, which was no driver side hits. So basically what would happen is, say that guy was facing me his driver side. There are no drivers in this car, in these cars, by the way, in Flat Out, which is really weird. They would like stop or slow down and not hit the guy, because that's where you get the serious injuries. And I just thought it was really interesting. Like, you know, there is chivalry in this carnage. You just really have to look for it. The in-car view is very impressive though, because you really get to see the destructibility up close. I mean, the textures on the dash aren't great, but oh, excuse me, sorry. So my engine block has folded right into my car. Oh, there is drivers, but they're all a bit weird. God, that's a weird looking driver. Oh, is that guy got a driver? Oh, no. Hey, mister, have you got... Oh, no, I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Oh, no, I'm okay. So this is kind of what I was hinting to earlier, with the weirdness, or the quirkiness. Maybe we should say the quirkiness of this destructible, or every car's destructibility, because it's just folded in on itself. That's really weird. Like it's turned into a 3-wheeled car. That's really bizarre. But this is a beta, so any complaints can change. But you know, it does seem a bit funky. And like the way it's destructibility, there's definitely some weird warping going on here, because the look at my driver. It's like he's been elongated or something. It's weird. I'm not going to judge Bugbear for this, because obviously this game is still very much in development. They say essentially that, but I don't know. It's a bit strange. Right, we'll do one more, and then we'll call it. I just want to see the carnage from the dash cam. Yep. Oh my god! See, that's actually quite scary. So now I can't see anything. Oh, and if I just, if I try and ram somebody really, oh my god! If I try and ram somebody really hard, maybe my dash will slink down and might be a little bit better. Nope. 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 Didn't hit anyone. Well, I hit some people, but didn't get rid of the dash. I helped a little bit. Thank you! Oh! That is a very nice chrome engine, sir. Oh no, missed him. Damn. Yeah. It is worth mentioning that I am playing this on a 360 controller, not a steering wheel. Although that might be interesting. But I do like the fact that on the second analog stick you can just look all the way around. Which is Destruction Derby thing is very useful. Not necessarily that view, that probably isn't useful, but this view, totally useful. Yep, car's completely folded in on itself again. Looks ridiculous. Back fine, front not fine. One thing that I'm really intrigued about is what kind of, you know, if they're going to do like crazy flat out style events for these cars, like bowling and dunk a human driver and things like that. Like, I wonder if that's going to happen. The AI has noticeably improved for the Destruction Derby events as well, because now you see AI actually reversing, which is great. It has become a very strange, grotesque ballet at this point. Oh, that was a very soft takedown. Oh. Like it's the gritty reboot of Cars 2 or something. Screw this. Right, so that's pretty much it, guys. We'll end it there. That's been Next Car Game. It's available on Steam. It's coming to PC. Well, it's available on PC now. It might be coming to consoles. Who knows? It depends if Bugbear can get a publisher for it. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like these sorts of videos. And we'll be keeping a close eye on this and letting you know when there are worthy updates. Just because I like Destruction Derby races, or Demolition Derby races like Destruction Derby. And this is the closest thing we've got to that right now. So we should definitely keep an eye on it. Right, have a good one.